quickly. Right, we're back. There was a whole other stream earlier that I just didn't bother leaving up because I didn't achieve anything. So I went off and looked at. I've been working on my actual smooth, my makeup inside here. Let's go into my not Vectron. I don't want Vectron. Into my thousands more than enough actually. I think. So what I want though is I should have. Again, I am like so fucking rusty on this. I have not set up anything inside my render, so I'm going to save this for now. So yeah, I've got my let's just do another render. It's pretty quick. It's my little testy boy. I'm doing 1,000 samples, which I think is probably about okay for now. Before I start bringing this into a real scene and art directing it, but I've been working on my makeup. I went off and I watched a Silverwing video. Silverwing VFX. You've not watched it. Watched him or know of him, Raphael. He is fantastic. He's so good. But yeah, and yeah, but this is looking pretty good now, I think, for our main smooth. So if I go and open up Firefox again, and I go onto my reference, which is I should really be saving these in PureF, but I'm not. And I might do another type or something. Hang on, let's just go back. So I think this actual makeup's been discontinued, but yeah, my reference for this, guys, is this, right? And let's just zoom this in a little bit so you can see. So it's kind of like a semi-translucent jelly, more than like a smooth. But the actual thing, when you smush it out, in this one here, it's sort of like this inside. So it is sparkly. It's got some sparkle. This one has an inner plastic ring that mine does not. See, like, because they've got another one underneath there, and mine does not have that. I could add that, actually. That'd be kind of interesting. And I can adjust the sort of height of my little plungy guy. And actually, I think this is like... I think it's like a milky translucent plastic. I might swap that out, because mine's a little bit CG at the minute still. But yeah, I think it's going in a pretty okay direction, for the most part. This is looking more... Oh, I closed that down too soon. Let's do milk makeup. I just need to put this in PureF and just leave it there, but I don't because I'm stupid. So that's fine. Just these things are just consequences of just being, you know, a person. Right? Yeah. So, yeah. So we've got this sort of similar jelly thing going on. So if we go back out to here, we can probably. Okay, let's restart this, and we'll look at it from some different angles. So yeah, we can see we're getting closer to this, like, let's just turn my cap off as well, actually. Go around that. Go around that as well. Yeah, so we've got like I always do this. It's an old Modo habit that never doesn't seem to go. This kind of like, it's shiny gel-like stuff, but it's got a bit of depth and a bit of sparkle and a bit of mottling inside. I think I've got enough of a handle on this now to make another one. It's broadly speaking a car paint material, but modified, I guess. So yeah, it's a layered material with metallic at the base. I think you could replace this with a non-metallic base. And then maybe you could do like, I don't know, let's just do a material layer. And then we'll just change that into a diffuse, or you can even do probably a sheen, I guess. And then a diffuse would be like whatever that color was. Yeah, that works. So yeah, you can swap this out and retain. So the flakes are flakes. The flakes are like metallic, but you could also swap those out, I think, for a noise thing. I didn't know how to use the flakes before, and now I do, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, you pipe them into the normal, and it means that, like, I don't know exactly, because when you look at the flakes, they just look like a bunch of like normal mapping blobbies. Well, they are really. I think there's some more going on in terms of how they face the camera or how they align to the camera. I'm not sure, but either way, they look fucking great. Once you've when I had this in car paint mode, it looked awesome. So you can see we've got like our you know, our flaky thing. We can also adjust the base color of our flakes to something else, but I haven't done that because I don't think it doesn't feel necessary. And yeah, I think this is probably a good enough basic setup. We could probably, like, I'm just going to rename this to diffuse, because diffuse layer 1. The one thing that's weird about this, actually, because I'm pretty rusty, it's been months, is I'm just like, the adding something into the base layer itself actually breaks your ability to put the metallic on there, and I don't know why that happened. But yeah, either way, we're getting to a situation where, let's flip this back down to a more dramatic angle. We're actually getting it looking pretty cool now. Let's turn my lid back on. But there's a ways to go, and there's some things to fix as well, I think. So I think in the real makeup, this guy here, this plunger, which you can't see, is not just like, mine's just a really basic white material right now. I think they've got like a transparent, or like a very a very diffuse, or like, you know, subsurfacey plastic underneath. But yeah, I've become pleased for the most part with this makeup. Actual material now is getting a lot better. The model itself could do with some significant improvement, I think, but I think right now as well, the biggest problem I've got is you can see this little layer here, right? And this is where I might change my approach, because right now the original sort of challenge to myself was make this proceed. See, there's two different things going on here. The challenge to myself was like, make this, or less actually, I make that the no, I could do that actually. I could make that the same layer as that. Oh my God, let's go to the reference. In my reference, it goes like this, but then this is where this goes behind and past. See this plastic? I don't know. Either way, right now this is two pieces, when really it should be one piece. So I might change my approach on this. Can you see there? It's like it's supposed to be one piece, but actually, if you come all the way down here, it's like, you know, it's gone a bit weird. That's gone into there, and it's created some weird geometry. So this is still like in the node system, which is why I did it this way in the first place, versus modeling this outer, which would have taken literally minutes otherwise. But whatever. Or I could try and figure out what's going on with this. I think if we did like on the outer, yeah, so then we must have like a double, yeah, we've got some, that's not how that's supposed to be. So I might remodel the outside of it. And also I could do with, I mean, actually the screw threads aren't actually that bad. When you, oh, I don't know, yeah, like the screw threads aren't actually that bad. When at the distance they're supposed to be seen at, they actually look pretty okay. And the interior threads are even worse, but I was going to replace those, but I'm not sure that's necessary, to be honest. But I might add more betterer threads, like more realistic threads, but that's got a weird setup with the way the light gets cast on this lid. But I think I'd never actually put a lid like this. Because I think I want to get to the end of it so I can actually start like directing some ads, right, and like getting some interesting things with it, because there's only one asset. I think if I need more assets now, I'm probably not going to bother using the node system to model them, because it's way too inconvenient. But we learned some stuff. Maybe I should fix this now quickly. I think actually first protocol, let's fix this material here, and then we will. Yeah, we'll fix something else. This is called Octane Glossy 1, and this is attached to, so we go into my middle, we've got the, there should be a little, there we go, it's got a thing called End, which is this thing here. Let's remove that material, and then what we'll do, go up here, Octane, remove unused, that'll kill that. Yeah, you see it's how similar this is just to a basic one. So if I just go and do a Octane specular material, right, I'll call this one like milky plastic. Okay, and then what we'll do, we'll just wham this straight on there. And any second now it should become transparent. There we go. And then what we will do is get active. There we go, milky plastic. And what we'll do is we'll go underneath the medium and we'll add a scattering, and then we'll make this. What we do, we'll go with. Hang on. What? Why aren't you updating? Anyway, that's weird. Shader. There we go. Odd. And then what we'll do is underneath absorption, we'll just add a color, and then that color is going to be white, and our density we're going to put way up. Or down. Hang on. 5,000. 5,000. Oh no, wait, that's, hang on. That's the wrong one. Random walk, that's what we want. And then, yeah, what we'll do is, if we do the density, I can't really do this. Jesus, actually, I'm being an idiot. Albedo, yeah, we go. Turn it to white. There we go. And then we will, that's closer to our milky plastic. I mean, another way we could do this is just have it clear and noisy, but I quite like it like this. We can do both, actually. So change the density down to 50. It will be a bit more transparent. And then if we come into our base and then we go to roughness and we set a roughness of 0.3, right? Or 0.4. I think that's probably, actually, I could probably do it without the medium. I'll save some render time just by making, I don't need it for like something like that. It doesn't need that amount for dirty. Yeah, to be honest. And then, yeah, 0.2. Let's do that quickly. No, let's make it 0.5. It can just be rough plat. It can just be white and rough. That's fine. Whatever. Yeah, let's not overdo it. Let's not go overkill for something so unmeaningful. Right, so what I might quickly. Should I fix this first? Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something I never normally do. I'm going to go Shift C and do a to do. Things to do. Note. New note. Oh, is that still a thing? I don't know how it works. Anyway, forget it. I won't leave it on there. I know I've got to do it. Yeah, I might fix this up. This little layer inside here. And I think what I'd do is I'd either just model this normally, or, which would be the fastest way, or I could just build out of splines and then lathe it, which could be interesting. I can still do that in the node system. It's still quite long, but I don't need this to be as parametric. And again, if I was going to do a different one, there's details in here that'd be annoying because I've got a gap here, right? So really what this wants to be is like a lip, and then that attaches into there. To do that with the node system would be very annoying. To do that with traditional modeling would be trivially easy. So there's a part of me that's just like, I could just turn off this. But actually, just think about that quickly, because that will be very quick. And I'm not even fast at modeling in C4D. That's the worst bit. So yeah, if we come into here, turn that off, and then on our bottom we'll turn off this one as well. And then yeah, what we could do is we could fix this so fast, man, if we just made this. Should we do it? What I might do is do a little save. I might do a little save as, and then I might just do makeup editable instead of nodes, and then I'll just give up on the nodes part because it's inconvenient. So let's turn that off quickly. Right, so we've got, oh, wrong one. That's the entire middle. No, I want to get rid of the, get rid of that. Get rid of the smooth. So get rid of the smooth. There we go. And then let's just come into here, and we are on outer plastic and then node mesh. And what we're going to do, we're just going to make that editable, and then we'll turn off the threads quickly, and then we'll just quickly fix this. So let's just go into here. And yeah, we've got this like weird shit going on down here. So what we can do is UL, I think it's UL, there we go. Grab that loop, delete that loop. And yeah, we've got like an inside face here that we don't need. So I think all we'd do is we'll grab this loop, delete that loop. And we've still got this loop above here. So yeah, we've got some overlapping geometry. I hate that I'm modeling in C4D because I just don't like it. What's this loop actually? That's this one. Okay. So where does this go? What are you? What are you? What are you when you're at home? You? I'm confused. Why am I confused? I shouldn't be. But I am. Let's just get off this fucking shit selection tool. Yeah, I really hate the modeling in C4D. But actually, let's just go into visibility because I think this is messing with me. So I'm doing view back face cut. There we go. Because it doesn't really do a good job of showing what's a back face. And let's also just hide this quickly because this is also annoying as shit. There we go. Okay, so there's our inside, there's our outside. There is nothing there anymore. So we'll just grab 2. And then we've got 2 should be, yeah, there's that. grab that. 5, grab 2. And then we'll just grab loop, 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 and then an MB, I think, for bridge. And then we should just drag there to there. And then that should be that fixed. Okay. So now if we turn this back on, this back on, this back on. Weirdness gone. I'm very slow at modeling in C4D. I'm in like the there's like a group. There's a group. There's a group of men. No, but there's like a group of ex-Modo people on Discord, and we've got some C4D people in there because a lot of the ex-Modo people, partly my doing, I guess, have moved over to, because Modo died, have moved over to C4D. And where's this one? Autopassing, there we go. Let's just put this little notch in as well while we're here, because that's just going to be so much easier to do now. So yeah, where these two would be like, if you have this IRL, these aren't just going to be magically floating. So like one, you know, you'd have those clicks into place. So this have a little, you know, and it'll go into there. So what we would do is UL. So yeah, with the, where are we? Is this one? I think it's this one. Space, shift space. I can't remember the fucking, there we go. Yeah, what are we? Out of plastic. And then we've got bottom cap, node mesh, goodbye. Yeah, so what we would do is I would probably put a loop in down here, right? And then that would come up and over, and then there'd be a little notch in here. So what I will do first off, I will probably add that loop. Let's just quickly hide the middle. There we go. Yeah, and I think maybe bring this down a little bit, or all right. Let's just do UL. No, no, crappy tool. Right, there we go. Is there options on this tool? I just stop it. Whatever. Like, just make selections a mode. Yeah, modeling in C4D is absolutely whack, to be honest. And it doesn't. The weirdest bit is it doesn't actually. Why is it not moving? It doesn't need to be, like, at all. Why is my selection not moving? That's really weird. Let's grab this, turn that off, and then... What? What? Selection. Okay. Yeah. What? Okay. What does that mean? Enable access. Can't remember what that means. So why can't I move geometry? I should be able to. Bottom cap is not as baked now, so if I just, yeah, I can delete geometry. What? Why? Why are you not letting me move? Let's turn that off. Okay. Oh. And I've at some point pressed the accidental thing, which is like move the origin. Oh, I have to make that fucking selection again. Amazing. Yeah, ring selection. Yeah, the selection tools suck ass. It'd almost be like faster for me to go into, which I was doing for ages actually, because I never truly got over modeling in Modo. But yeah, there's people from Maxon in that group now, who are fucking hell, that's so fiddly, who are paying attention. But actually, what we do an extrude, wouldn't we? Extrude. Okay, how do we? No. Okay, extrude, and then come on. Oh, whatever. How do we add a new click? And then what was it to add an additional extrusion? I can't have to come down here and do new transform. The problem is like the tools are actually quite solid, but they just need to be like just better, really. If I actually like, no, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Oh, I could though. I could just XRef it in. Would that be bad? No, that's not in this. That's not in the spirit of what we're doing today. That's not in the spirit of this little project. Like, to be like, oh yeah, this is crap. Let's just model it in a better modeling app. I mean, there's an element of that where it's like, that's totally acceptable. What am I saying? Right. So I always forget what's what in here. Let's do this. So how would I add a loop to this? And honestly, I just do not use the modeling tools in C4D, like at all, really. So I think it's under. No, that looks like that's what's cut a line, isn't it? But where is that it? Okay, so if I do M, I've got normal rotate, create point, bridge brush, close polygon hole, plane cut, line cut, loop, path cut. Right, so if I do ML, no, ML, excellent. Okay, that's not the worst thing ever. And then that's actually okay. I mean, I don't like this. So the tools, when you use them, they do all work, right? Let's put another one in there. Why not? Okay, and then we just go to, there we go. Yeah, they do like work, but like they're just like, I don't know, kind of like shit. Right. So what I'm gonna do is do an extrude. So what's that? Extrude is under T. Of course it is. Bring that in. What we'll do, we'll just turn on this. Where is it? Christ. Middle. Okay, there we go. Is there like a view option to like options? Display. Oh. Because yeah, like when you're doing parametric modeling in C4D, it's awesome. You work quickly. Or you're doing like I like doing like volume, like SDF volume modeling in here. That's really fun and really good. Okay, so that would then go like in there, right? And then we would have a little notch around here. So we go back to loop select, and then we'll do one of these. There we go. And then where is that polygon? Yeah, there should be like I know I can do right. So here's the thing. Right, I know I can do middle. Where is it? Middle, and I can do display. No, display. Yeah, display tag. Let's do that. And then I can change the display method of this to use like wireframe, right? Because that's the thing, the tag system in C4D works against it as well. It makes it less good. It makes some things about it really good, but it makes other things about it really not good. If that makes sense. Right, so bottom cap. And yeah, like this means I go at the speed of sludge in C4D. And I think some people assume I'm some sort of like Blender hater. I'm not. I'm a Blender realist, man. But no, like I can go much faster in Blender because Blender's modeling's better for sure. But then if you're going to go somewhere else to model, so it's MT for extrude. If you're going to go somewhere else to model, it should probably just be like Modo, right? So, but you know, whatever. I know the Maxon people are kind of listening to the C4D in the Modo group because the thing with Modo modelers is Modo modelers are the best modelers. In fact, actually, that's probably sufficient rather than putting a. And if I just put like a little notch, why have I made that so high? Why have I made any of this so high? Whatever. Right, we'll just move all this down. Yeah, so generally speaking, it's like a well-known thing in like pro communities that yeah, Modo modelers are the best modelers. Generally speaking, not always, but they're like it attracts the more elite modeling people as a product because it's the I've done this in a really fucking stupid way, haven't I? All right, okay, whatever. Yeah, it attracts the best. I mean, not saying I'm the best. I'm not a good modeler. Oh, fuck off. I'm not a good modeler at all. But I can just save this as a selection. Anyway, whatever. The workflow's slow. Right, so that should be sufficient. Right? No. Why are you doing these things? Where is that then? What is that loop there doing? Why are you disconnected from that loop? Is that because I've not got it fucking selected? Of course not. Yeah, yeah, Modo tended to at least attract the best modelers. This is good, isn't it? Let's do this. Will this mean that it'll just like not? It'll still do that? No, it won't. Okay, good. So, okay, cool. Right. Where were we? Hang on. Have I just? Don't just accidentally merge this into my interior guy. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let's just revert this. Let's go to revert to saved. Yes. Had I already fixed this bit? I don't know. No, I had not. Don't like it. Let's just start over. That's what smart people do, isn't it? So yeah, some talking, and also I don't know what the fuck I'm doing inside the application. Right, so this is Makeup editable. It's going to turn the okay, gone, cap, gone, saved. Cool. Right, we've baked this. We've baked this shit now. Because yeah, we've also modeled this in a really fucking wasteful way. There's some crimes here, but yeah, I think the maximum people are paying attention basically because they do care. Okay, that's what I did. That's what I did. Okay. So first things third. We're gonna come inside here. But yeah, like the problem is it's unnecessary. I mean, also C4D's old, right? C4D's been around for a long time. The tools are functionally really, really good, actually, really solid. But there's like, get rid of the threads. Where are those threads? Cap these threads here, out plastic threads. There we go. Yeah, like the tools themselves are actually really, really solid. And it's almost like the weirdest thing about it is like unnecessary that some of this be so bad. It's really weird. And get rid of this one. Hang on, let's do the same thing again. Options, backface culling. There we go. Because otherwise you can't tell what's a backface and what isn't. Things like that, right? Like this lack of ergonomics. The view stuff is worse. The fact that like making a even in Blender, because they stole it from Modo, pressing down I can't remember what's by default, I think it's Control, will select the entire loop, right? So you can make like loops, and loop selection in Modo are dreamy. Like you've got keyboard shortcuts and you can expand loops and close loops and add to them, and then you can select selection sets and all sort of shit. And like that every tool works in a uniform way. And like say for example, I've got to do a bridge here, so my bridge is there. It looks nothing like it, well, it looks kind of like a bridge. And I've got a drag for reasons. But yeah, the individual tools are solid and they all work the way you expect them to. But yeah, just like marginally worse than they probably should be, which is really odd. But then C4D's old and does a lot. It's got a lot of capabilities, so it's like it does get a little bit of a pass. And also the polish and other parts of the application are immense. So it's like, Right, so middle, I'm going to turn that off quickly. I think the first thing we've got to do, because I've been somewhat dicked over by the fact that got selected bottom. There we go. And then 3 things like I'm very used to 1, 2, 3, 4 being my component modes. I'm not sure if all apps do that. I think Blender does by default, because when I used to use Blender, I'd always use it quite heavily edited. So what I would do with it is probably not worth. Okay, there we go. It's probably not very representative of the average user, because mine was quite heavily edited or modified, I guess. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a loop. So we're going to select that. That's another thing as well with a key with a tablet. If I press M, which shows you, it's got key chords in C4D, which I used to love back in the day. What was it? But if you hold down the key, it shows you the other chords attached to that key. It's quite clever. But if you have this and you move your mouse at all, it instantly disappears. So if you've got a tablet, it just vanishes. Right, so, and then we've got loop cut, so ML, there we go. And then this is actually kind of all right, not gonna lie. Okay, so is that above there? Let's get rid of that. Let's make that just so it's above. Cool. And then we go back to 3, which doesn't drop our selection. So we go back into loop slice, loop select. And it's MT, I think, for extrude. There we go, yeah, extrude inwards. right? And then let's just turn this on again quickly. Outer plastic. Wait, no, not outer. Mid, there we go, middle. We'll do the same thing again, middle. So yeah, and also like display. Tags are like the single best and worst thing about C4D, I think. Because like Moda had this option for like other object display. And tags make sense as like overrides, but not things that are like, if I want to lock something down, generally the way you do it is use a protection tag. And it's like, that's just immensely dumb. Because, let's do that again. It's just a really dumb way for it to work. Oh, that does work that way. Okay, fine. Because, where's, there you go. Yeah, okay, fine. Just do it like that. I think that's, no. Let's do that, and then do this. There you go. And then what we'll do, come to here. Yeah, because it just means everything's really slow. So what was it? What was it? MT. There we go. MT. MT. Oh, that way. But then if we turn on this, that is interfering, but not. Oh shit! What's happened there? What? What? Okay, how do I slide? Is there like a slide tool? There's like a probably smooth shift. Why? Okay, two. I think if I come into here, actually, if I come to regular select and then make that smaller, I think. No, it's not. It's if hang on. It will do select connected, but yeah, double click will do the whole thing, which is fine. But I can't do like, you know, click to select. Anyway, so MY, that does not do what I thought it would do. Right, so we just do because I mean that does go across the normal. Okay, well, let's just go like where are we? Excellent. Okay. What are you? Why are you broken? Are you actually broken, or do you just look like you are? Very odd. Okay. Okay. It's kept that selection. Weird. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll just do one of them. Okay, and then back to here. It's very it's so clicky, you know. You sort of do so much clicking. Right, and then we go back to this, and it's still got that. Cool. I like. I'm enjoying that. Very hard to. My mind doesn't really work with this. So MT, and then what we'll do, bring that up, and that just needs to be like that, and then MI. No, that's not what I thought that would be. I don't know what that even fucking does. What's my inset? Inset is W, because of course it is. And then we'll do one of those. There we go. And then, was it what was it for? Loop slice. ML, right. And then we'll put another loop in here. And then we'll put another one over. It's like serviceable, but like, again, the geometry it does is pretty good. It doesn't make that many sort of like little widowed bits of geometry and stuff. How do I? Okay. Oop. And now, turn this back on. And then, yeah. And then just for shits and gigs, we'll go into the middle. Like, it's still called node mesh. Go into there, and then we'll just go select this. And then, oh, fuck me. And then we'll go like that. Ooh. Hang on. So if I have to go, what was it? Isopalm. ISO editing. Is that it? Filter? No. display, no, option, no, ISO line editing. There we go. Because by default you don't edit the if you whatever. So MW, no, inset. There we go. MT to extrude out. And then MW to do another, like, to harden that line up. But actually what we'll do, oh yeah, another thing, you can't like middle, where are you? Middle. There you go. Yeah, you can't like yeah, so I want this loop. Oh, MW, there you go, and then we want to go was it MC? Is it? L, there we go, loop cut. There was a time when I used to use C4D exclusively for everything, quite a long time ago now. But I need to go back to it because I can't, anyway, another thing that's annoying, right? You can't turn, like, a thing, again, you get very spoiled for in mode, and you can make Blender do it as well, is toggling on and off who's it? Toggling on and off subdivision surfaces. So what we're going to do is we're going to do MT, I think, to MT should be inset, no, it's extrude. Okay, no. Let's just go UL, there we go. And then we do MW, there we go, MW. Okay, UL, there you go. Let's do this one, let's do this loop. And then we'll just drag this up. Oh, fuck's sake. I hate that. Hang on. Can we just do, like, will that work? And then, yeah, you can do that. Okay, fine. And then we just do MW, which should be extrude. No, MT. No, fuck's sake. What's extrude? MT, yeah, extrude. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, and then MT. There you go. All right. So then, so I could just leave it like that. Actually, that'd be fine. Yeah. And then what we do is, because I've now intrinsically set at this height because I'm dumb, we'll bring the entire base up a little tiny bit. I think. Yeah, that's probably the right one. Or is that right? Does that sit in that channel well? I don't know what it is throwing me off. This just needs to be better. I'm such a dick, but this does just need to be better, I think. Like, they need to focus on a few of these fundamentals, because I think a lot of core Cinema 4D users probably don't give a shit, because the modeling is kind of good enough. Like I said, none of it's fucked, but the workflow is quaint. Let's put it that way. And compared to something like Blender, good God, Blender shits all over this for modeling, and I'm not someone to often like lavish Blender with compliments. But yeah, in terms of quality of modeling, Blender's really good, to be honest. That's a really great modeling package. It's just everything else about C4D, like some parts of C4D, the juice is so worth the squeeze with it, especially if you do MT or MW. I was going to do a little YouTube video. I was tempted to do it. Let's just leave that for now. I was tempted to do a little YouTube video on like tool efficiency. So it'd be the outline would be, right, like when it comes to creative tools, how you choose tools and why is more than just like their cost, or there's a thing that's really common, right, of like this idea of having, go on the tangent for a second, this idea of having like a Swiss Army knife type tool, right, and how a Swiss Army knife type tool isn't always necessarily the right thing because it's based on what you're doing. So like I think the base argument would be, right, like everyone hates Adobe, rightfully, they're awful, but also if you're using Photoshop, there is no one application that does everything Photoshop kind of does, right? It's amazing. Same with Illustrator. And a lot of people do stuff like, well, we'll spite it and we'll go for something cheaper. And again, if you don't need it, if you're like, if you don't need that degree of quality, or the cost is not worth it to you, don't use the tool. But when you sort of start to argue, if you're someone who does things sort of professionally and you want to argue that's like, well, I'm going to use, I used Affinity for years, designer, not photo, because I hate Affinity Photo. Because I couldn't find, it wasn't good enough compared to Photoshop. I couldn't adjust to it. But anyway, the point is, there's this thing where there's like the holy trinity for graphic designs back in the day would be Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, right? They would not want to leave those tools, and that was weird because I was the kind of person who'd be like, I'll use another tool. And in recent years, it's gotten worse around things like Figma. And it's like, well, I'm just going to do it all in Figma, and it's like, you've in a desire to have something be a Swiss Army knife, you're taking all of these concessions, right? And you're not weighing it up in terms of like an exchange, right? Because if you're doing vector work, Figma's tools are really rudimentary. Sketch is slightly better, but it's still not amazing. Compared to Illustrator, leagues apart, right? Like in terms of capability. So you're using worse vector tools, and exchange, you're saying, really, the only thing you can say is like the multiplayer thing, which is only really most people use occasionally. And you're exchanging in all of the capabilities of something like Illustrator to have the multiplayer. It's quite a silly exchange. And then the things like, I've seen people lay out like brochures and stuff or I've read it on like the internet, people like trying to do magazines and stuff inside Figma because they know Figma, they have it, and they're like, oh, well, it's like, it doesn't support CMYK. And like when you've done any work with print, you realize things like, for a start, there's no such thing as black. And when it comes to there being black, there's lots of choices of different kinds of black, and each one behaves a bit differently, and also it depends on the paper you're printing on, because that's how printing works. And it's like those little nuances where it's like, that's going to be either that's lost on you, which means that's not great for you, but or you're making the other half and getting things print ready, and you've got things like trapping, right? Which I'm not even going to bother explaining. Trapping, overprint are another thing as well. Pre-flights. Profiles, choice of colors, making use of things like Pantone. It's an evil system, but you got to use it. For professional print, these things are not really negotiable. Like you may think they are, but the first time you get back, I don't know, let's say a couple of thousand like runs of fucking like flyers, and the colors are all fucked, and you've printed out 10,000 of them. And then your client doesn't want to give you any money because they're fucked and they're all the colours are mushy. You'll learn pretty quick that you probably should have used InDesign and paid the $50. But then there's also a thing of it like where the free angle of that is not good, because like a single full fat seat of Cinema 4D, of Figma's not much cheaper, or I think in some scenarios it's more expensive than just using all of the Adobe stuff. And it's because it's a UX app, it's for doing UI design. If you're doing UI stuff, yeah, it's pretty good, right? It's the industry standard for doing that, but it's not, and it shouldn't be for doing. But anyway, and on the other side of the spectrum, you've got like the thing with like the 3D tools, where it's like, I need a Swiss Army knife. Blender's a Swiss Army knife. It's like, no, Blender is not a Swiss Army knife. It's a fairly fine, moderate, middle of the road 3D app with a really bad compositor and a really bad video editor sellotaped onto the side of it, which is just pointless. And it's like, it's not a Swiss Army knife. And people going like, oh, I could just use Blender instead of After Effects. Like, no, After Effects has its place. Like, I am the kind of, look, do you see an After Effects thing in here? You see Fusion. Fusion and Nuke, really capable for motion graphics. But should you? And that's what gets me down to, is like what you gain in terms of like power in exchange for workflow. And all those hoops you have to jump through inside Figma to make it work for print, which it can't do, or a lot of the capabilities it doesn't have. We have quite janky plugins and like 10 of them, and they're all like shit, and half of them cost money, or like just to make up things. You should have used the right thing in the first place for what the work you want to do. Or like, yeah, like After Effects has deficiencies. It hasn't got a real 3D system. It's slow. It's buggy. Adobe are fucking evil. But if you're going to do motion graphics, should you do them in Fusion, where it's a node system, and you by virtue of doing that, you're going to work at 1/5 the speed? and have to, everything you've got to do, you have to unpick and turn it into a challenge that, you know, and you're doing something creative. No, you shouldn't. You should use After Effects. Like when I've used Fusion for motion graphics, it's scenes where I know I've got like, I used to work at an agency where they do like, it was like an experience agency, and they do like, if you're in like an attraction, you'd have, let's say like you walk up to like, and you got like one was like an astrolabe, right? So you had a thing where you walk up to this astrolabe, you could play with it, and then there'd be a corresponding set of screens, which would like display the thing you've got. You've got an astrolabe inside a mosque, and you're pointing it at a certain, like, and there's like stars on the ceiling, and you point the astrolabe or the sextant or whatever the fuck, I can't fucking works. You point the thing at the thing on the ceiling, right, and there's a screen that goes with it, right? And I've built the graphics for the screen, and there'd be a corresponding thing to this constellation you've pointed your astrolabe at. And so you've got like a dozen of them, and you've got its navigation, and each one's got some parts of that animation that are the same. And like you have lots of shared assets and all sorts of stuff between them. And in a world where that's the case, you can do that in Fusion, and you take that hit because it's not very creative what you've done. It's like base textures and stuff like that. Changing those out and changing those timings times 12 is an order of magnitude easier in something like Fusion than it is in After Effects. Even locating those things in nested comps inside After Effects. So delegating part of that work to something where the structure is easier to manage things en masse, which is what node graphs are really good at, right? Good reason to use Fusion. To artistically drive an animation and apply effects? Fuck no. You'll spend all this time. I got pretty quick at one point. You spend all this time fiddling with piping AlphaZone out and the position of where you put a transform node, and then going, well, I have to rebuild this entire section of a node graph to do it. I've done it a few times for fun, and I'm a freak, so don't listen to me. But, you know, it's not a good use of your time. It just isn't. It just isn't. And going back to the thing with C4D, is they go, oh, I need a Swiss Army knife. I need one tool where I can do everything. No, 3D artists shouldn't think like that, because, or like that end of the, anyone, you just use the tools that make sense for the work you're doing, right? Like I'm using 2 renderers. Like, well, I you know, like I did it. So yeah, Redshift, I've used it on 2 jobs. On one job, I had a lot of variations to render. I leveraged the fact that you could, like, the scene interrupt is so much better in Redshift helped me. I had like all these permutations on a model to make, right? Basically different materials as a product thing with like, it's like there's a food thing with lots of different flavors of the food, and it's the same base food item and then whatever. And that was good in Redshift, but also the render times. I originally previewed the materials and did all that look dev stuff in Octane, and my render times were bad, you know, and I had dozens of these renders to make. And I redid the same thing in Octane, in Redshift, and because of the right time, in the right place, and the right whatever, all the stars aligned. Not only got my scene interrupt in C4D, I also got render times that were like 1/8 the time. They were like 8 times faster, 10 times faster, which was like a lifesaver, which meant like for every iteration the client came back with, and there were a lot, they would want to see the full set of every variation for each one of those. That would then turn from being a few hours worth of work to a few minutes worth of work, because my renders now took seconds each instead of minutes each. It was sick. Use the tool that does the thing, and as a general everyday tool, like the Swiss Army of compositing. So yeah, like After Effects is not a great compositing application. Fusion's significantly better. Nuke's better still. Nuke costs like $8,000. Fusion's free or 300, right? So, you know, these can all play together. But like when it comes to the 3D thing, Houdini, Houdini's great. Houdini's fucking incredible. But again, you throw away a lot of that immediacy and the artistic drivenness. You know, you get faster as you spend more time in it, but you have more things to think about than just the process of creating stuff. And that's what makes C4D really, really good. And it makes it better than Blender because, like, again, it's more stable than Blender. It does a lot of stuff that Blender can't do, and there's not much stuff Blender can do that C4D can't do. Geometry nodes, kind of, but not really. Like, you can bodge together almost all of what that does. I think Geometry nodes is better than the scene node system in here, and probably better than what Espresso does in here. Although Espresso is really easy and really intuitive. And you have this sort of creative, happy accident animation, motion graphics thing going on inside C4D, or things like doing dynamics and simulations are very organic and artistically driven in C4D. You don't have to spend so much time thinking about the system. You can just play and feel things out, and it's nice. There's value in that, right? Because otherwise, by the time you've thought about it and you spend that time tweaking knobs, after a couple of minutes, you've got it already running in C4D, right? Versus you have so much more flexibility in Houdini, and then something like Blender, you have much less flexibility, less than C4D, and it takes a long time to set up. They're making it better at the minute as we speak, but there's value in that, and there's value in that artistic way of trading in. Again, like on the opposite end of that Figma thing, what you gain is multiplayer, I guess, and it being web-based, I suppose. And what you trade out is a lot of efficiency in the tooling. But on the other end of the spectrum, you've got tools that are quite efficient, so like Blender, C4D, whatever, that are quite efficient tools, and for the most part, but there's more efficient tools or less efficient tools, and you are doing the opposite thing of like, you're trading in that flexibility for either price or control. So Houdini's amazing. I still want to keep using it, but I think I had an idea for a simulation for this, which would be really fun, but I think quite hard to do in C4D, where you want like a certain degree of granularity that you can get to, but like the veneer of ease of use for C4D does wear thin at times, right? And you can do very powerful things with it, but those workflows actually start becoming at a certain level more esoteric than in Houdini. But then also, that being said, like I had a little play the other day. So basically, like if you look at these little streaks here, oh shit. I was like, how do I make these little streaks, right? So basically, someone's like gotten a palette knife and whammed a little streak of makeup down here, right? How would you do that? And I was like, I had a little play, and again, just feeling it out and just twiddling some knobs, I got something pretty workable in C4D using fluids. And then I was like, well, I can make it even more, probably more art directable in a way if I used metaballs or the mesh builder, the volume builder, and dynamics, right? Because then I can have like a bunch of boxes, and where this is like quite coarse, I can then get my boxes which are more art directable than the fluid, because I have to worry about all the things of fluid running around, and the fluid system's jankier in C4D. And you can have like boxes, and then you can have like little tiny cubes, and then you basically run something through it, and you can more directly attach it, and then you can mesh it, and then you can sculpt it down, sort of thing. That'd be quite cool. You can do the same with fluids, but anyway. There's a point at which you might want to do that in Houdini and have like something where it's super, super realistic. But then also, odds are that thing that I was doing earlier or the other day would probably end up being workable, and it took like 10 minutes, if that, of me playing. So like the thing of discovery and being able to have tools that you can play with and be explorative with. I'm not saying you can't do that with these other tools. I'm saying the speed at which you can do it and the lack of friction. That's the thing that makes C4D kind of special. And the thing that makes Houdini very special is the control, the degree of fidelity you have, how powerful it is. It's insane how powerful it is. It's effectively visual coding, right? But graphics. It's I really want to spend more time in Houdini for the right kind of thing, because that shit is still very much my jam. Modeling, probably not. Animation, probably not. The animation tools in C4D are pretty good. They're pretty damn good. They're also quite intuitive, quite nice. And what makes Blender special is it's free. Sounds really harsh. I don't hate Blender. It's all right. It's okay. Bits of it piss me off. And like, again, like having tools that make you want to be creative are great, because creative tools are great. Anyway, turn that back on. If we turn our cap off, let's turn the cap off. That's the thing that leaves the cap. Nope. Yeah, that's the one that's leaving that weird thing on there. Anyway, so how's my base look now? It has the little notchy boy. It looks almost exactly the fucking same. Let's zoom in. that's made no fucking difference whatsoever. I think it's because everything's quite small. That was a waste of time. I mean, it's fine. fine. Yeah, that's not really fucking achieved anything. Whatever. It's okay. I know it's there. It's made like a little tiny marginal improvement to the fidelity of this model, I guess. Sort of. No, not really. Okay, well, you know, what do I know? I mean, has it? It's let's look at our neck first. Let's see if that's much improved compared to before. That's good. That's an improvement. I am now thinking once again though that like I don't want this transition to be softer. I'm thinking let's select that. I'm thinking once again now that oh fuck's sake, I can't. That doesn't work. How do you dissolve? How do I? Is it shift delete? Shift delete? No. That's a good question. That is a good point. Collapse? No. Fuck no. Right, hang on. I don't. Yeah. But then that's something that gets me actually, because I'm trying to be even about this. Is like there's other. Ooh, it's a wallpaper of a train. It doesn't work. Okay, whatever. Fine. Anyway. Yeah, cinema 4D. Cinema 4D. That took ages. Collapse. No, dissolve. Dissolve edge. Yeah, just like Cinema 4D's modeling though is so inefficient. That's what. Yeah, dissolve edge tool. Is that an actual fucking tool? Hang on. Because everything's just a tool. N dissolve. What are you? MN. Oh, you're fucking joking, aren't you? What? For real? Okay. Oh, that's so shit. That's so fucking shit. Okay, well. Yeah, let's pause that. Let's go into. Let's just open up Modo from here. If it crash, it'll probably crash. And just for my own sanity, I'm going to demonstrate the differences in the workflow here. Again, I'm not open Modo in months at this point. So, because yeah, a lot of the time in C4D actually, because I'm quite lazy modeling, I use the volume modeling method a lot because I love it. It's but actually now I'm just not doing this properly anymore. I could just do that as well because you get like these little flaws. You make use of the lack of fidelity selectively. What the fuck is going on here? So you selectively make use of the lack of fidelity in the SDF to add surface imperfections to things. If that makes sense. Okay, so which mode are we in? Is this one of them? It's Modo something. So let's do this. Let's make ourselves one of these. That's advanced. Oh, anyway, 3. And then, yeah, so I can just do I. What the fuck is going on here? B. Okay. All right. Oh, snapping. Snapping turned on. There we go. Turn snapping off. Yeah, so the snapping's... But anyway, Modo's just fucking great, basically, for modeling. And then you press space to drop your tool. It's new on Q, B, and yeah, so if I go to 2 and I want to select an edge, I just double click and it selects the edge. If I do an on, shift, double click. If I want to do polys, there we go. And I can just do like that, and yeah, it's yeah, I mean, even Blender's modeling is actually really solid. I think like if if Modo's like the best, I'd be tempted to say that. See again, like if I do this, get 2 and press L, and it'll select the rest of the loop for me. Amazing. And if there's more, let's do this. And if I do like B, because then also most shit in Modo is just on like one tool. Do it again. So shift click, and I can do another shift click, and do another one. Oh, it's going to crash. But then there's the downside of using Modo, because Modo fucking crashes all the time. It was never stable in the first place. And yeah, so that's it. Yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, you just seen the downside of it, because you know it's whatever. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see, like, yeah, because the way, yeah, C4D sort of activates everything as a separate tool. Like, I can't just press a button and fucking dissolve a shape. Dissolve. It's not just because, like, the default is, because yeah, Modo's like, oh, you've got a line, you've got like a, you know, so Blender gives you the option, you press, you know, the whole press X thing, and then this like has the opposite badness where it's like, I don't know, uses commands. So yeah, it's some of the melt command. So shift key when you call the command, points deleted, the point angle was taken into account. Why can't I just, if I'm in modeling mode, why can't I just know that I would want to dissolve these edges, right? Stupid and dumb. Okay, let's see what else is going on inside my model that I don't like. I think that's just, I don't want to see that. So 5, grab that, and then we can't make the others, can we? I think it's this. Is that it? Yeah. I think that's that. What's the name of that command again? Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? Right, so we've somewhat kind of sort of slightly improved that, although not really. Actually, let's just quickly make this a bit better, because this is actually UL. They've actually made this kind of worse than it was before, I think. And then turn that on, drop that there, turn that off. And that's just, again, another Modo thing. That's just on right-click in Modo. And also I can't, like, open Modo again. I'll demonstrate. Like how few, like if I was doing the exact same thing, this exact same behavior in Modo, I'll show you how very, very different it is if it fucking opens. And yeah, even in Blender, it's quite a lot better. Blender's still clickier than Modo is. Modo's super flowy when it comes to modeling. It just gets you in the sort of flow state, and you can, and most of the time you're using that one tool. The bevel tool does like 5 things, which is pretty cool. Although again, as does Blender's, to be fair. Because it took a lot of, by their own admission, a lot of inspiration. Is that going to fucking load or what? Yeah, it did. All right. Okay, yeah, so let's do this one more time. We'll do this. We've got this, go 3, and then we go loop, because it knows that there's nothing else there, so it's going to select the loop. And then what it's going to do, we can just do, we can do Alt-C, to do a loop slice, and do that. Oh, bugs. Or, right, and I can just do this and select this loop, and then press up to select the next loop. Look at that. And then if I did this and did a bevel, bring that in, press shift, bring it in again. And then what I was about to do was I had like a thing in sub D, so let's just drop it straight into sub D by pressing shift tab. In fact, let's just do this, do bevel, bring that in again. There we go. And then what we'll do to our snapping, don't need it. We'll go back to here, and then we'll do this, press L, because if you do 1, it might go that way around, but if you do 2, it knows to follow this one, right? And then to do what I did before, Shift X will do now extrude, but we can do this, so Shift X to extrude, Shift X, L, Shift X, there we go, click, in the viewport to extrude, actually. There we go, and then we've got, if I right click, I can set the number of things, because this is like called drag hauling, so I can interactively decide what does what. Yeah, there we go. And, but if I was doing this in sub D, I'd do this, and then I can see interactively, but also I have to turn on isoline editing. It just knows. So I'm going to do that, and then interactively sharpen these up, go over here and just do B, and then just do this all interactively and drop the selection, and there we go. And then come down here. Well, that's not great. B. Okay, and let's add another loop around here. Loop. Okay, B once more. There we go. Let's do it that way. There we go. Perfect. And come back out here. Press Shift Tab. Oh, look, that's messy. Let's just fix that quickly. Loop, delete. There we go. Oh, no, no. Loop, delete. Loop, delete. There we go. Flip that over. Boop, doop, doop. Loop, delete. Loop, delete. And then got this. Oh, just P to cap that off. and then we just press B, and then B again, and then B again, and then under here, we can select this loop, do that, and just do B, and do that, and then you see how fast this is, right? And this is me not having opened up Modo in like, you know, forever. It's not just I mean, a lot of it is muscle memory, right? But like, actually, that's not right. Anyway, oh, see, there we go. There we go. Look at that. Wonderful, wonderful. There we go. Oh, I made a boo boo. But yeah, amazing software. Killed too soon. Pretty sad. Pretty sad. Yeah, great software. I loved it. I was happy forever. With the exception of, again, some of the procedural stuff, like there's ways in which C4D also beats. So yeah, doing the same thing here. Now I'm like, okay, well, how do I have to come into here, do that to turn off my? There's no interactive turning off of my whatever. Come over to here. In fact, it doesn't actually do that. I can just do, was it M? No, M loop, and then do that, and here just do another one there, and then another one there. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, all the tools work well, C4D. But okay, and then that's a bit better. Actually, there is a toggle. There is a toggle, isn't there? No. There is a thing to toggle on and off. I think it's Q. It is. Aha. We have to have it selected first. So if I do that, I have that selected. I can. Huh. But if I had, okay, go into this. No, actually, let's go into this one here. Cap and thread. With thread here, yeah. So if I had cap selected, it'll do that. Yeah. So it does the next one up. But okay, not the end of the world. But okay, MS, no, ML, there we go, thank you. That's selected. Should be selected. 5, 3, there we go. So 3 UL, select that loop, and then M, was it M W, I think, insert, there we go. You have this sort of like, you have a tool, activate the tool, okay, there we go, that's kind of worked. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we'll just do UL, UL3, there we go, and then no, we don't need to do that, do we? So just do ML, there we go, there we go. What do you call this? Call this support loops in okay, so there's that. And then one thing I don't love is if we go into my where are they? Notchy things, my notchy things. Let's go into top view. Why are notchy things hidden? I can't see my notchy things. Where are my notchy things? Oh, got solo turned on, that's why. Yeah, it'd be fun if I knew more about the if I knew more about a bit, yeah, more about like scripting in C4D, which I can't be bothered to learn at the minute because I'm a little bit off coding at the moment. But I would probably try and see if I could build some plugins to make all of this stuff less shit. But I don't know how far you can go, and also, given how old C4D is as a product, oh shit, no, it's Alt, isn't it? There we go. Is it Alt Shift? No, it's Alt to go slow or Control Command to go slow. I can't remember. I think it's Alt to go slow. I can just do this actually, to be honest. Just go to, oh god, Shift space. There you go. There we go. Yeah, land of contrasts, really. C4D is. Let's go back into here's bottom cap 5. Select that. We need to add 3 ML. Add a loop there. Yeah, because it's like it actually is kind of okay. Let's get rid of that quickly. That sucks ass. Is there like a way to? I think there is. This guy. Okay, and then UL2 there, and then there is a way to fill this cap, isn't there? What is it? It's create. No, it's under tools. Oh, what the fuck's it called? Poke. Is it poke? It's not poke. No. Oh, what the fuck's it called? Christ. D. Close polygon hole with quads. No. Right, grid. Is that? Hey, there we go. Interactive. It's kind of fun. Oh, that's alright actually. That's not the worst thing. I think it ain't the worst thing ever. It's a lot of geometry, but then yeah, it makes for prettier. I mean, this is so over fucking killing it, but whatever. The whole thing's pretty overkill actually, because I had to model it with so much more fidelity just because reasons that aren't really that valid, to be honest. But whatever. We had fun. We learned some stuff. We didn't learn anything. I learned very little. I learned to not really use the so shift space. No, so yeah. Yeah. So, ooh, we're going to turn the cap back on. Okay, that cap. Yeah, that is subdivided. I think, or should be. What? Was that only what? Wait, I thought if you put. Hang on, I'm really confused. Why would that not subdivide both? Okay. Very odd. Anyway, we can fix this now. So let's turn that off. In fact, we'll hide the threads. Sometimes you just gotta fucking model stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Right. So what we do is ML. I actually do. Do you know what? As for all of my bitching, I'm actually starting to quite like this loop tool. It's just it is quite nice and direct, I think, in a way. Okay, there's that done, and then I think yeah, also the same with this. We're going to do the same thing with this cap as we did a minute ago. So what we're going to do is shift space. There we go, and then delete that 2, and then UL on 2, and then what was it? Fuck. D. Grid, polygon type, grid. Okay, there we go, perfect. Okay, cool. And actually, yeah, what I'd do there is I would probably that's a good candidate for some more detail, but let's not do that right now. So what we're going to do, turn that back on, that sub D. That's still bad inside there, so we'll do it one more time. Again, I actually quite like that little what was it, MD, UL, MD, click, Oh, click. Yeah, it's not bad, actually. Q. Yeah, that's all right. That's actually all right. Okay. Okay. Let's just save incremental, save incremental. There we go. And then we'll go back to rendering. And we'll see. Is that just like highly reflective up there? So if I put like, this would be huge, but I put this like sphere, right? If I do that, you know, is that going to be like reflected? Either way, it doesn't actually matter because that cap, I think as I've said several times, would actually be like, on, right? It's going to be anywhere. It'd be on the actual thing, like so. Which then doesn't leave a weird reflected, or does it? No, it doesn't. Yeah, but either way, right, so I mean, that kind of helps. Yeah, so that actually looks pretty. Okay, that's I'm pleased with that. One thing I do love about C4D actually, that I've always loved about C4D, is the layer system. Layers in C4D are fucking amazing, and the take system's also amazing. It just works pretty much seamlessly. XREFs are a little bit bad, but you know, whatever. So yeah, we've got we've got a thing. We've got a thing. So I actually kind of, I mean, I've set it up already, but we can do, let's go to the sphere. We don't need this sphere. So go into my stick, and then it should be under my user data. Yeah, there we go. So I've got Y position. In fact, let's just put this onto view lines. There we go. Fucking hell, can't see anything. Right, yeah. So go stick makeup, and then height is going to be like a bit longer, I think. There you go, about there. Yeah, and then my Y position for this thing, my little smooth rate. Let's put that about there, and then that's going to come up. It's about there. Oh. But actually, no, that would go inside there, wouldn't it? It would go inside there. Because yeah, it'd be okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I could hook that up so they're actually attached, I think. Okay, so we need some branding for it quickly because I could finish this and then start art directing it pretty soon. So I'm going to be a freak. I was saying before about inefficiency, in part because I'm on Windows and I don't have that many creative tools installed on Windows for like graphicsy stuff. I did have Illustrator and all that kind of shit, but I don't have an Adobe license anymore. I think I've still got a Affinity Designer license, but I do have Affinity Designer 2. So look at, is this still gonna, does it still work? Don't like Affinity Designer 2. I prefer the V1 of it. Oh no. Okay, well, let's just buy now. I don't want Affinity Free. Affinity Free can fuck itself. I know I'm weird. I know I'm weird. Fuck. Affinity Designer. Ah. No, hang on. Affinity Designer no folders. Oh, God. No, I don't want Affinity by Canva. Fuck it. We'll be a freak. We'll do it in Fusion. Why not? I've not done Fusion. Oh, Fusion 18. Jesus Christ. I need to update this. Oh. Ah, you can't see my key for that. Let's do it offline. I'm going to call it there. I'm going to do the graphics offline. Yeah. Or I could put in my license key on a different screen. That also work. No, I can't move that window. Oh well, yeah, I'm not giving away my license key for Fusion. Okay, well that's the end of that stream then, and bye.